Radcast News. Hey guys, Ryan Alford, your host of the Radcast.
You're listening to the Radcast.
If it's radical, we cover it. Here is Ryan and Reiley.
Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast News. It's Friday, March 26th, 2021, and we're here with the latest and greatest in marketing advertising news for all you ad junkies out there. I'm always joined by my lovely co-host, Reiley Clark, who's also the producer of the Radcast and content extraordinaire.
Thanks. I love all the titles.
I'm just come up with new ones every week.
I know, but it's fun. It's fun. How was your week? So you were gone in Mexico, and how was your trip?
It was great. We had a really good time. Took all the boys. The first international trip with the boys, and lots of safety protocols in place. But we sped through. We went through Charlotte, and we sped through customs on both ends.
Nice.
There was definitely a lot of safety stuff, which was good. But very nice getaway. It was 4 nights, and so the boys loved it. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in Mexico at a resort like with all you can drink like slushies and everything else, and lots of water slides, and it was nice, like 80 degrees, and got a taste of summer here early, and so we had a great time. It was a very good family getaway.
Oh, nice. I'm happy to hear that. Happy to hear that.
I know, gearing up for the spring. It definitely had me, we've been seeing a little warmer weather, but it like took another step for me. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm ready for that.
Gosh, I'm so ready. I like miss the sun. It's been so rainy here in Greenville. If you're in the Greenville area, then you know. I think like most of the East Coast anyway, it's just been kind of dreary weather. The rain. I'm just like, can you go? I'm just ready for the sun.
Rain, go away.
Ready for the sun. Very, very excited.
Yeah. So, been short work week for us, but it's been good. We've got a lot of new projects gearing up, and pretty excited for that. We've got several new clients and lots of exciting things happening on the Radcast, and excited for our release next week. And if you didn't listen, we had Jan Bednar on Tuesday. Go take a listen to that. The hardest part of e-commerce is actually getting the product in your customers' hands, and Shipmonk and Jan's team are really focused on that and growing and doing turnkey fulfillment and being a kind of an e-com junkie. It was just fascinating kind of talking to that side of it. So I really enjoyed that episode. So if you haven't listened, go give it a gander.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. I liked your all's conversation, and you all said a lot of things also about the entrepreneurship journey, and you all talked about the risk of entrepreneurship, and even just understanding what that means for the business you're building, and just general entrepreneur characteristics, things like that. And I think that was a really cool part of the episode too, and just the conversation was great. So definitely would recommend that episode to anyone, especially if you're trying to get in the e-com space or if you're an entrepreneur yourself. There's definitely a lot to take away from that one.
Yeah, it was. We definitely dove down that entrepreneur path and some of the pivots they had, and just talked even about the gene, or what it takes to kind of have that entrepreneurial mindset. And so pretty fascinating on multiple levels. And then looking forward to next week's release. We had a really good talk. If you haven't been in a cave somewhere, you've seen the growth of TikTok, the video platform.
No.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
What's TikTok?
And the vortex that you go down while watching TikTok videos.
I know. And then you scroll too much, and it's, you've been on TikTok too long. You should take a nap. You should go drink some water. And it's like, wow, thank you for calling me out right now.
But Samrat and I talked about all the growth, and they did a really interesting study on what it takes to be successful on the platform, why the platform's been successful, the ingredients of it. So really great, good informational for any marketers or any business out there for what and how to leverage the TikTok platform.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. He, to kind of relate everything a little bit, he works at Neuro Insight where Tyler Lewis worked. And if you remember the Super Bowl episode, Tyler Lewis was the kind of analytics expert that was kind of walking us through the NFL halftime and advertisement stats and how those advertisements performed. And so Samrat, when he comes on, he's from that same company, and he'll be talking with us about TikTok and just kind of looking at, again, Ryan, you already explained all that, but that'll be a great episode, and it'll be a 2-part episode. So we'll have one really good conversation with him, and then we'll have another one where we dissect a little bit more like what brands and ads and big brand plays can look like on TikTok that can live appropriately on that platform. Because again, you can't look at TikTok like every other platform, and you all kind of talk about that a good amount.
Yeah, so it was good. So hopefully everyone's been keeping up with the NCAA tournament and your bracket hasn't been busted. I think Reiley and I, both our teams, my team went out even earlier, so I can't say much. Clemson knocked in the first round, and WVU had their issues as well. But
that was such a sad game.
So no love for the home teams here, but it's been fun. It's been a little weird though, because the schedule's been different, because you usually have that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the games didn't start till Friday. It threw me off a little bit. Even being in Mexico, it's kind of like watching a couple of the games or whatever, and I'm like, wait a second, hadn't even started. But it's been good.
But they're all happening in they're all in the same place, aren't they, this year?
Yeah,
isn't
all
that
in
weird?
Indianapolis.
Yeah, isn't that weird? That's normally not the case, right? Isn't it normally like
no, they're
very
spread out all over the
That's what I
country.
thought.
So they've
Okay.
had them in their little bubble, trying to be a little more safe and keep it a little more controlled. So it'll be interesting how that plays out in future years. But it's been fun to watch, and I guess that's it. And here's Reiley with the news.
All right, so our first episode topic for today on the news episode, all the words here. NFL, you used to feel like you won the lottery when you bought a spot on an NFL, whether that's Super Bowl or advertisement or whatever it is, and to be able to put your ad in a Super Bowl or football game, it was like a big deal. But obviously we've talked a lot about this on the Radcast. TV is not really what it once was, and so there is this question of streaming platforms and what that's going to look like in the future years. And the NFL is looking at transitioning into streaming platforms and things like that. So I know you have a lot of thoughts on this, so I'll let you take it away.
I mean, so it's interesting. It's kind of like what in some ways little changes, even though viewership and different things, a lot of cord cutters are out there, but the same players that have always been there have won the rights again for the NFL, NBC, CBS, ESPN, and others. And you've had this growth of streaming platforms happening between Netflix and Amazon and Disney, all these channels, while the one thing that's kind of held paid TV subscriptions together has been sports. And thus you saw, in the most recent bids, a lot of those same entities have held on to their rights to the games and really just to keep alive their legacy products of TV subscriptions, while they're also trying to grow their streaming platforms. And so I don't think this is great for consumers, because, what's happened is, look, I think people understand you have to pay for content. It's not like Netflix is free. It's not like Amazon's free.
Right.
None of these, but it gives you, it's on demand. You get what you want when you want it. And TV subscriptions have remained you got to buy 400 channels for the 3 that you really want to watch. And a lot of people have maintained those TV subscriptions for sports. And so it's kind of like what's old is still new. There's going to be a little bit more streaming within these platforms, but I think this is why I'm even going to take it a step further. There's been a decline in overall sports viewership overall. And I think you can actually point to this because consumers want to digest content differently than they have. There are changes And that's why you've seen the growth of these streaming platforms. And so fewer people are watching live sports because there was great enough affinity to overcome that. But what you're seeing is consumers are going, I'm going to cut TV. Yeah, I love the NFL. I love my teams, but they're getting to the point where they're just not going to tolerate the format and paying for stuff that they don't want. And so I don't know that they're helping themselves in the long run, and they're trying to maintain these legacy dollars. And I get it. Look, you got to pay for all this content. You've got to pay. All this stuff works in a cyclical manner where the reason that you can pay what you pay is because you have the volume of people watching and the advertising dollars coming in that offset that cost. I understand that it all works together, but the reality is the behaviors of people have changed well past this. So you're going to continue to see a decline in people paying for TV. You're going to see more card cutting, and you're going to see a decline in sports viewership. And they're on a real slippery slope, if you ask me, because if people get used to not seeing something, not doing something, then they might lose that affinity altogether. I even have relatives that I swear would have never stopped watching Pittsburgh Steelers football that just said, I'm not paying for cable TV anymore.
Right.
I don't mind paying $17 for the content that I want on Netflix, but I'm not going to spend $95 a month for when 80% of the content I don't want.
Exactly.
And it's a real problem.
Yeah.
And I think, and I understand, and look, these are multi-billion-dollar decisions. It's not easy decisions, but I don't think it's consumer beneficial that these same large media entities have maintained these rights and bought them. At the end of the day, it's a free world, free market. Like, they paid for it, they bid for it, and they want it.
Right.
But I think it's a real slippery slope with, if the reason they can charge the money they can is because people love their teams, they love the NFL. If they decide that my behavior is such that I'm not going to pay for it, and you stop and you lose that affinity, they may never come back. And then they won't pay for it when you do move to streaming in 7 years.
Exactly. And that is kind of a danger if you think about it, because, you bring up, like, obviously, and I've said this before on the podcast, like, I don't even have cable. Like, we've talked about that before and, like, what that's doing anyway. But, games, for me, I'm either streaming them or, like, the WVU Syracuse game the other day. I streamed that game, from the ESPN app, like, on my Roku. and did, the free trial or whatever, because I also didn't want to pay just for one game, for this whole subscription or whatever. But, from there, if you need to go and watch another game, that's when you go out to, a sports bar, or you go to, a Buffalo Wild Wings, where, they're going to have the game on or whatever, because those, I think, would be the places that would stream, they would stream or would keep the TV, but it's not benefiting everyone the same way it used to, just because of how things are moving. But they make a point, it's very ironic how this is transitioning.
Well, and everything that we're doing is becoming more consumer friendly, and then this seems to push against that. And it'll be interesting, because if you looked at, like, some of the details of the contracts, like, they can stream like 1%, like only a percentage of this. Like, Disney can do it. Amazon bought the rights to Thursday, which is, one inkling of hope towards this type of streaming and all that, but it's not enough. Because, NBC and CBS and Fox are going to, maintain like 95% of it is going to only be through paid, traditional TV service. And so, I don't know. I think it is what it is, but I think I just think it's a dangerous slope they're on with, how much, if you ignore consumers long enough, they don't always come back. And so we'll see how it plays out.
We'll see how it plays out. And this kind of leads us to our second topic. So a lot of companies like Pepsi and Anheuser-Busch have been looking towards creating TV shows as another way to promote their brands, which is really interesting, because it does create a different engagement level with their consumers for how their brands, live and breathe on, on a TV platform. But this will also be done on streaming platforms as well, which kind of leads us into the point we're just kind of talking about. But as far as a brand play, I mean, we can talk about the TV part of this and we can talk about the brand play part of this, but I like this a lot because this is something that you see these kinds of brands living. I don't think they're changing their brand perspective or their brand narrative as much as just trying to like interact on a larger level with more people. And like, how do you do that? What's in front of them with their phones or with what's, with the screen or whatever it is.
Yeah. And it goes hand in hand with the first one in a way, because this is the opposite. This is going and changing as consumers are changing, because what's happening is all these streaming platforms are bringing around ad-free content. Mm-hmm. And so as a brand, how do you get and keep your brand in front of consumers and stay relevant? And this is how you do it. You build content around your brand, and you build it in a way with which consumers are consuming. Mm-hmm. And they've said, consumers are quietly telling us, I don't want 17 commercials in my 1 hour TV slot that I'm watching. But I understand that there has to be, a give and take.
And take, exactly.
And so thus brands like Pepsi and Anheuser-Busch building show content that still gives brand attribution. And, I haven't seen the content itself, but I have to imagine, it'll be entertaining. It'll be today content that's engaging and it makes sense, hopefully, but it makes a ton of sense. And I think you're going to see more and more of this. I think, we talked about the Old Spice barbershop. You're going to just see more of these experiential and overall brand plays that live outside of the norm of the 30-second TV spot, and I think that at the end of the day, this is all about the death of the 30-second TV spot. And there's a lot of people in our industry that don't want to hear that. They hear that, they roll their eyes, and they go, well, where all the eyeballs still are. Well, this bus is moving fast. And
it is, because generations are changing, like, not to be funny, but I mean, like, it's just changing. And like, if you're not going to keep up with the change, you're going to get left behind.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like a narc on what you've done or like what TV has done for us in a today sense. But like, if we can't move on this train forward, it's not going to be a great look for your brand.
Well, it's no different than like, Anzu.io. We had the
Itamar Benedy.
Yeah, Itamar Benedy in-game. You're going to just see more unique, more ways for brands to get out there. They're doing programmatic in-game advertising. Literally, I'm racing the car and there's a billboard up on the side of the road, and that's programmatic. That's auction real time. That changes. Now, this is where you get into the other, going to where the consumer is in a digestible way, in an interesting way. This is no different in more of the TV and long form format. I think you're going to see more and more product placement, like from Amazon being in the room on some iteration of Saved by the Bell or whatever the TV shows are now.
Exactly. They're everywhere. I mean, you can't watch a Netflix show without someone being like, well, I'm going to take a Lyft. And it's like, okay, wow, I wasn't paid or anything. Or, you see like someone casually have their Microsoft whatever, and it's like definitely a flash of the low. I mean, you're seeing.
It's forcing innovation in how the product placement and how brands pivot into, getting those impressions in a different way. And I think the winners and losers will pan out by the ones that are most innovative, just like any other thing. And it's just forcing the media changes, and the way that people are consuming media, the way that people are using their time is forcing these changes at a rate that's never been seen before. Because forever and a day, there were only so many ways with which to consume media. And now it is endless, not the 100 ways you can do it on your phone,
right?
Much less to how you do it at home on your Roku or your Xbox or, insert video platform here.
Right. Exactly.
And so there's only so many screens, but there's a lot of different channels within those screens that don't live within the framework of a TV box.
No, I mean, it's true. And I mean, you see it on collaborations, with influencers on apps or, you know, things like that. I mean, you're seeing this breathing in a different way as well. And I think it's just a different way to show the social proof of like what, you know, the brand, what the product should do and what it can do, you know.
Yep. How many times will they say Pepsi in the Pepsi spot or the 30-minute show or however long it is?
I know it's going to be an interesting.
You know, there's like these boardroom discussions. Well, okay, I'm behind it, but how many impressions are we getting in this 1 hour video?
Well, and I will say this too. So this is a very interesting way. So like Pepsi is also using this kind of platform as a way to even showcase new flavors, like the Pepsi mango flavor, which I'm very curious to try about. You narc on Coke, so I'm gonna see what you see about this.
You know, of all the ancillary flavors of things of like stuff, I get behind cherry, grape, all that. Mango is kind of a not so favorite flavor of mine.
Good. Watch it be really, really good.
I'll try anything. So we have like a Pepsi's Mango Zero. I'll try it. I just refuse to have calories in my soda now. Ever since the invention of Coke Zero, I never liked Diet Coke because it has that kind of weird taste or whatever. But Coke Zero like hit the spot for me. Pepsi Zero is close. It's not quite as good as Coke Zero, but see, I'm not hating on Coke all the time. Coke Zero is like the bomb.
That's good. I'm really glad to hear that. That's awesome. That's awesome. See, Coke, we love you. Just kidding.
Yes.
No, but no. So I mean, I think that'll be an interesting way for them to, you know, show new products, things like that. And I think obviously that's part of a takeaway from this kind of move from them.
Yep.
Next topic is Sour Patch Kids.
As soon as you had this topic up on the board, I was like, yes, I love me some Sour Patch Kids.
Yes, right. And also it like makes me want to go to gas
station. That was always my favorite movie candy is Sour Patch Kids.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I don't eat much candy anymore, and it's around me all the time with my kids. But if I go to the movies, I'm like getting me some Sour Patch Kids.
Or like the Airhead Extremes, or like I don't know.
Oh, my kids love those. But Sour Patch Kids, give me a box of those and just let me go to town and
let your tongue feel horrible the next day.
All it does is like an hour later I regret it, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But
but this is a really cool move. So they're doing an April Fool's TikTok. They're calling it a prank fund, and essentially they're trying to get people to prank on TikTok. It's a big trend on TikTok anyways to create these pranks, and so they're doing, which is smart because, you know, we got to be thinking about these things. April 1st is coming up, so if it makes sense with your brand, obviously, hopefully you've already been brainstorming that kind of day. But this is a really cool way, again, to interact with the TikTok community, create natural and organic user created generated content, and then essentially you have to include a hashtag, and then Sour Patch Kids will essentially, if I remember correctly, they comment on the video, tell you that you were one of the winners, and they're giving out like $1,000 and a couple other things. I think it's like 20 or 25 people get this fund. So
yeah, I like it. It feels like a good organic playing off TikTok, playing off the brand of Sour Patch Kids. It did make remember, I don't know if you're probably too young to remember this, but Garbage Pail Kids. There used to be these cards. I don't know what it is about it.
Yep, too young.
Too young. Anyway, they were like kind of gross. It was like these mixed characters of like it was like a weird time, like the early 90s maybe, but
yeah, what a weird time. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Way back yonder. Anyway,
yeah,
but yeah, it feels smart to me. The only thing I was thinking was like, you know, planning ahead for April Fools. I guess you have to have the best pranks, but it's like, is it kind of like giving it away if people are planning and you're promoting April Fools? Is it real? Are you going to fool people? Like,
I hear you on that. I hear you on that, but I think it's an interesting way to like, it will throw other people off because in the moment you're not going to be expected to be pranked because TikTok videos, the way you see like pranks done on TikTok or whatever, there's a phone hidden or something. I mean, yes, I think some of them are still going to be scripted because if you look at any of the, you know, content creators on TikTok, they've scripted their stuff, you know, but it's going to be interesting to
well,
see,
it plays naturally to the platform because I do feel like every other video on TikTok is someone pranking.
Exactly.
You know, like some guy cutting his finger off in his mom's kitchen and, you know, blood spraying everywhere or something.
Right.
Like,
and she's like, oh
it's kind of like the natural play, but you know, if you could get in on that borrowed interest, I think it makes sense and it's cool. And hey, you could tell me the Sour Patch Kids were like I don't know, doing something completely stupid, and I'd still like them because they're delicious.
Yeah. That's great, Sour Patch Kids.
Yes. Guilty pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. And then our last topic for today, I love this because first of all, I love Pinterest for the reason that Pinterest to me is just I'm a very visual person, and so Pinterest is just my go-to when I'm trying to look up something, when I'm trying to do anything about a trip or whatever. My first go-to actually is Pinterest, and then I go to Instagram and see, the location, and then I try to find the spots from Instagram, but Pinterest is doing a really cool thing, or I should say Anthropology is doing a cool thing with Pinterest, and they're creating a digital only catalog. And it's the first time Anthropology has done this, but they're putting it on Pinterest, which I think will be a really cool place for this kind of thing to live. I think it goes perfect with Anthropology brand. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. It's this convergence, you've normally thought of catalogs as these printed things that come in the mail. You've seen this shift to digital. You started with like very rudimentary like PDFs that turn the page or whatever. Like you swipe and it goes to the next page, and now you're seeing the integration of shopping tools and things like that. I did play around with this a little bit before our episode, and it's really pretty cool. Though like half the products were already sold out, so it seems to be working. The only thing that I didn't love was like if you go within the catalog and you create like tap on the lamp and you hit lamp, it brought up all the lamps that were for sale by a lot of different brands. So I was like, that seemed a little weird. Like if I'm Anthropology, why would I want to bring up that? I think it's just the way
That's an interesting
that and maybe I know what it is. On the platform like.
So and you can like if you need to, you can like hit the magnifier or whatever, and you can like click, or if there's a tag on a lamp, or if you need to look up something particularly, you can basically create a crop of what you're wanting to focus on, and it will generate the exact same image from other vendors or other people that are selling it or whatever. So it's very interesting that it's not Anthropology stuff.
And there was tons of links to Anthropology, so it wasn't like they were missing out completely. Right. But I just clicked on like the categories. It was like tables, lamps, lampshades, whatever it was. And then on the right populated all these other stores. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know if that's the execution I would want from a brand perspective, but you could definitely get there from the other links on the page, but that was one of the observations. But look, you're going to see this is not a completely new thing, but you're going to see more and more of these visual catalogs like this playing out. A lot of people are pretty hot on Pinterest here this year and next as travel and other things start to come back into play. Yes. Pinterest is kind of owns the kind of visual search category. I mean, I guess Instagram could definitely fall in this category as well, but Pinterest has got to be, the leader, with it's kind of that visual catalog. And, it's definitely grown their capability. We used to buy ads on there like 3 years ago, and it was like a nightmare, but they've gotten better with their ad buying platform. Wow. They're getting, kind of the whole system and integrations into play, which are better. So I think you're going to see a lot of growth potentially for Pinterest if they can continue to kind of improve their UI and some of their ad tools. But it's you're going to see more and more of this integration. And if you have a catalog, it's kind of a natural extension, especially with their audience and skewing, female and younger a little bit. Anthropologies. And then I don't know if it's Crate and Barrel. Someone else had done their catalog on here as well and seemed like success. And again, like half the products, at least the ones I clicked on, said sold out when you went to the website. So
yeah, it's clearly working.
Yeah, it proofs in the pudding. So yeah. So one more thing, one more or less printed piece of paper.
Honestly, save the trees. No, I'm just kidding. But it's a good thing. I think it'll be a fun space for Pinterest to keep developing and growing. I mean, like people are saying, it was funny when I was looking this up, and then like every other article that followed up with it was like, put your stocks in Pinterest.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, I think their ads.
Note.
I think there's a lot of potential growth, but if they keep refining their ad tools and different things like that.
Oh, exactly. But now that's it for the Radcast.
Cool. It's been a good week. We appreciate everyone following along. You know where to find us. We're at the.rad.cast on Instagram. You can find us on the web at theradcast.com. And I'm always at Ryan Alford on Instagram. And as always, I appreciate you, Reiley.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that too.
We'll see you next time.
See ya. Cool.